On this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, we talk about our experience at the John Mayer concert, the death of mayonnaise, and our special guest, Daniel Parks from Cities4Life. All that and more in this episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it is two guys' take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, and you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Busted Nuckle studio right here in beautiful downtown historic Concord, North Carolina. I'll be your host, Biggin, and how about you? We've got a great show lined up for you as always, but before we begin, let me introduce you to the second half of this flaky biscuit. That's right, I am talking about the pride of Anderson, South Carolina, 2016's Honorable Mention New York Prison Guard of the Year, the inventor of the redneck egg roll. Give it up on old mic number one, it's Mojo!
I probably would have done a better job at being a prison guard than this previous guy. So,
at least you wouldn't have fallen asleep.
I don't. The story keeps changing
every second of every day.
It's so interesting. Maybe we can update that. I don't know.
There you go.
Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in as always, man. Welcome to our new listeners. We really appreciate you guys turning out and showing out and going back and listen to our previous catalog. This is episode 111, so we should have a full plethora of other episodes you guys can check out. Episode 1 and 2 are kind of our histories. They're kind of raw, so don't judge us by the quality of those podcasts back then, but it just kind of gives you a little brief history on who we are, why we do this. But yeah, please go check out our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. You can get our playable links right there directly from that. That way you can kind of have one tab open on your computer at work and keep another work tab open. You can play them there. Go to our Facebook page where we love to connect with stupid memes that we post from time to time. And polls every once in a while, and whatever else we're kind of thinking at the moment. That's at Southern Fried Philosophy on Facebook. You can go check us out on Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SFP Radio. Also our Patreon link at patreon.com/SFP Radio.
There you go. Nailed it. And then if you'd like to check us out using the States Vegas app, don't forget that. You can download it free using promo code MOJO. We are live there 6 p.m. on Monday and 4 p.m. on Friday if you want to check that out there. Again, if you'd like to support the show, don't forget, as Mojo said, the Patreon link. This week, we did our very first SFP After Dark at Commoner's Brewery. We had a great time with that.
Very good time,
and only our Patreon subscribers will be able to listen to the madness that ensued.
The After Dark, the After Dark is just more of a raw, free-form, basically non-edited, just cut and dried conversation, 4 mics open, and we had quite a big showing turnout that for people that came by. Commoners Marty Jackson and those guys graciously opened the doors to allow us to come in and record there. Marty, one of our fan favorites, one of the guys at Commoners, he joined in with the conversation, and I think it was a pretty interesting conversation. I'm not sure how long it ended up being, but it was, I think, a pretty good episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
So yeah, if you want to check that out, I'm not sure how often we'll be releasing those a month, but just if you want to become a Patreon subscriber, you can donate $1, $2, $200, $20,000, whatever you feel compelled to. If you're trying to launder some of that Jeffrey Epstein money, you can more than welcome to drop us a couple billion there. I think it would be good.
How about you? Just for an upcoming guest, November, see, I did it again, September 4th, we are going to be at the Hunter House and Garden with Matthew Doherty, our special guest, the Atlantic 10 Conference former commissioner, the UNC basketball coach, former, of course, and our friend at Watchman Cigars, Leon, will be there. We have a charcuterie. No, I say charcuterie just because it annoys my wife. Yeah. We'll have charcuterie.
A platter of aged salted meats and cheese.
Yeah, that's what it is. Some olives maybe thrown on top.
Probably, I'm sure some little small mini pickles, the gherkins.
I hate those things.
Or conchitas.
And so we're just going to have a good time, do the show out there, so you're more than welcome to join us there. Want to say shout out to our new listeners from Sonora, Mexico, Selma, Alabama, and Seattle, Washington, all places that begin with S.
Interesting.
So I'm going to ask you...
This episode's brought to you by the letter S, I guess.
There you go. I'm going to ask you like I ask you every week, Mojo, I be darn.
Well, I see down here that you have John Mayer concert.
Yeah, buddy.
So instead of kind of going into how my past week has been, how about we just dive into this John Mayer concert?
My wife's birthday, August 10th. Every year I tell her, I do not want to go to another stupid concert. Please do not take me to this concert. And she said,
will you be masking our voices? That way our wives can't.
Wah, 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 wah. I said, please don't take me to another concert. But in her defense, we always go to John Mayer. That's one concert that we'll go to. Typically, it's at the Pavilion, the PNC Pavilion. That's
Pavilion.
Well, I say Pavilion.
People are going to be Googling Pavilion.
What is a Pavilion? It here, and it's nice because it's outside. I always get there early. I stop by and get a Jimmy John's. I sit at the front row of the lawn seats, so I can put my feet up. I love that. That's my jam right there. Except when it rains, it's 1,000 degrees or it's snowing. But then it's in Time Warner Arena, so I'm like, oh,
that's where the Hornets currently play.
The Hornets currently play, yeah. And so I said, well, this is going to be a little bit different. But it was her birthday. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. Let's enjoy it. My friend Jaime from Texas drove in from Nashville, and then her best friend Erin, one of her best friends there, decided to go because they're like concert buddies.
Yeah, they've been to quite a few, haven't they?
Yeah. So she actually is my replacement to her concert, so I don't have to go.
I wish I could find a replacement for my wife.
Yeah, she needs one. So we went. It wasn't the best John Mayer concert that I've been to. Again, I've been to several since we lived in Texas. It was okay.
Yeah.
The seats, by the way, were fantastic, though.
It was probably not a bad view in the whole Coliseum, I guess.
But we went down. We were like the lower level. And so I had a nice padded seat on the end, like I like it, and just got a beer, and I just sat there. I almost dozed off twice during the concert.
Oh, wow.
And then woke up, had me a nice little nap, and then here we go. You, on the other hand, did not quite enjoy the concert.
Well, okay. Well, number one, this is the best John Mayer concert I've ever been to because it's the only John Mayer concert I've been to. So I have no other metrics to gauge that.
Sure.
First thing, the pros. He is a very talented musician.
Right.
And his ensemble of other concert mates there were just as equally as gifted as he is. So not taking anything away from the talent. I could probably name 3 John Mayer songs, not by name, but just, like, I recognize that song.
Yeah.
It's just not my type of music.
Right.
This was a concert that my wife wanted to go to, and that's cool. I do want to have date nights with her, but I'm not a concert goer.
Yeah.
I can probably count the amount of concerts I've been in my life on 2 hands, and I just
Really?
don't. I find it a waste of money.
No, I agree with that.
Because
100%.
Yeah, you can go to any streaming service now, listen to their music without interruption for, a few bucks a month or even free on some things. But concerts are generally, just in my opinion, just a waste of money. and I don't like wasting money. But,
Right.
So I have that aspect. The other aspect was at this concert, I'm experiencing some hearing loss now.
Oh, no.
So, and this is coming from the meds I'm on, to just being around motorcycles all my life, to whatnots. So you get into a concert hall like that has, great acoustics from what I can tell.
Yeah.
But when the music and vocals go over a certain decibel, it starts to sound muffled.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I can understand all the instrumental, but the words I just can't understand. So the whole time I'm sitting there, anytime we take a song break, I'm like, did he really just say the mule just shat in the woods?
No, that's not one of the lyrics.
I didn't think it was, but I would hear these misheard lyrics, and I'd kind of silently giggle under my own breath. But so
why didn't you live tweet the misheard lyrics?
That is a great idea.
That would have been.
Well, we were also on dying batteries on our phones, and I had to order an Uber after because we took an Uber after, and I didn't want to be stranded in uptown Charlotte without a ride. That's a long walk back.
Yeah, buddy.
I had that going for us. Also, every concert, every sporting event that I've ever been to in my life, I always have that one are two annoying people that are behind me, like directly behind me, that are screaming to the absolute top of their lungs. It reminds me of that shrill that my mother would give me when I was living in her house when I was in trouble.
Oh no!
It like maybe it's a little PTSD, but also just the pain in my ears. I mean, and
you figured out why you're deaf.
Yeah. I would never hit a woman, but man, I contemplate on throat punching her several times.
Oh, you and the throat punch.
Oh man, that would solve the problem.
It would have.
She can't scream anymore after that.
Yeah.
But just that our seats we had floor seats, which is not a bragging thing because I would have never spent that kind of money.
Yeah.
But they were tight. Like, I mean, me and the dude next to us, we were like rubbing.
Cuddle buddies?
We were rubbing weenuses against each other. The weenus, elbow, the elbow skin. Yeah.
I know what that is.
It was just, just not a comfortable time. But also at John Mayer concert, my observation is there was a couple white dudes there.
Yeah.
Dressed in their, vineyard vines and their, Banana Republic clothing. And, this was hardcore music to them. Like you could tell when a certain song came on, they were like really excited. Whoa! Yeah. Head banging and everything. I'm like, how do you headbang? How do you headbang to John Mayer?
Wow.
So that was interesting.
Maybe they had earpieces and they were doing something completely different.
Maybe, I don't know, but these guys knew all the words.
Wow.
I mean, they were
enjoying it.
They were excited.
They were letting it rip.
Super excited. So
you talked about the young guys. Can I just mention the age range in that arena?
Yeah.
When we pulled up to park, there was an older lady. When I say older, I'm talking about Meemaw, showed up, and her parking pass and her tickets were laminated. Not even joking. We saw her laminated tickets.
Wow.
Like somebody's a little bit excited about this. But she was a grandma. So there's grandmas all the way down to teenagers.
Yeah.
It was a large age gap.
No doubt. I've never seen so much pleather skirts, shirts, and pants in my entire life.
There was a lot.
Not saying, there was a lot of dudes in pleather pants and pleather shirts. It was just interesting to watch.
Yeah. The people watching was great.
Yeah, it was. There was not a whole lot of diversity and ethnicity.
100% on that one.
So it was quite interesting to be a part of that. I've been to punk rock concerts because that was kind of my musical vein, younger, and I've actually been to those. And I wouldn't call those concerts because they're usually $8 to get in. You get to drink beer, and
that included the beer.
Probably so back then. But $8, and there'd be a wide range of ethnicities. In here. So we go to John Mayer, it's pretty much saltine crackers the whole time. So it was interesting.
Hey, buddy.
I didn't, hats off to him. I didn't realize he's been around as long as he has. He's been around quite a few years.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a large, what do they call
Discography?
Discography. But they call it like something else.
Library?
Maybe a big library.
He's got a lot of songs. I said, nothing taken away from him. It's just not really my cup of tea or my type of music, but what a talented musician. And you're super talented when you can overplay a song. Like, the guitar solos at the end.
But they were really good, though.
No, they were really good. Just, for me, I'm like, I want this concert to end. And then it goes on an 8-minute guitar solo.
That's how I feel about the praise and worship music at church. I'm like, can this song, how many times do we have to say this same phrase over and over again? It frustrates the fire out of me sometimes. And then when the people feel it, like you can tell the worship leaders when they feel it, that they've got to keep going and going until the crowd's going to pass out. Yeah.
Well, we don't see that much at our church because we have to be in and out in 33 minutes or whatever it is.
Man. I don't know. There's some that I'm like, oh, he's leading music. I'm out.
See, I went to a church growing up where worship could have lasted 2 hours. And then the pastor was like, I'm going to give you a 5-minute nugget. That's the type of church I grew up in.
And Jesus wept. That's it for today.
All right, bye. We'll see you next. We'll see you tonight, Sunday night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a good experience. I will say one of the things that popped through my head while he was playing the guitar, because as he was playing, they would always do close-ups of his hands, and the thought came to me, and this probably needs to be on the After Dark show, is where have those hands been? and so And so my friend Jaime started going through the list of his former girlfriends. Hey, buddy.
I know Jennifer Aniston was on.
Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, which is my like go-to, even at her age now. I'm all about some.
Well, how old is she? Like 38 or something?
She's like 40-something.
Oh, okay. But Jennifer Aniston, though.
Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Jessica Simpson, Katy Perry, and there's been others. But
that's the celebrity, probably.
Hey, buddy, I'm sure there's been more. I think there was a Taylor Swift for a moment.
Could have been.
Maybe.
I'm sure she wrote a song about it.
Yeah. But good gracious.
Yeah.
How about you? Well done.
I guess when you fly in that circle, you have that type of A-lister names, I guess.
There you go. All right, so let's hop into some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue. If you need a caterer that will supply you some of the best barbecue around, check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue. You can check them out at the sponsors section of our website. All right, speaking of things that make you rethink life, Kenya Bay, a fart pushes the speaker to suspend a debate. The honorable speaker, one of us, has polluted the air, and I know who it is. Julius Gaya reportedly told Homa Bay County Assembly. The member has accused somebody of farting, and I am not the one. I cannot do such a thing in front of my colleagues. Hoping to clear the air, the Assembly Speaker instructed the members to step outside and take a break to clear the air. Unfortunately, when they went back in, it did not smell any better. So then he asked everyone to go home, find an air freshener, vanilla or strawberry. He said, "We cannot continue sitting in this environment that smells so bad." The smell has said to have subsided before any such sprays were found, and the debates continued. Could you imagine in the middle of the House of Representatives, somebody just lets one rip, and it was so bad they had to cancel the debates and whatnot, and had to go get air fresheners?
Well, as a person who likes smaller government, maybe they should do that a lot more, because they would probably have a lot less infringements on our rights if they did that a lot more. So maybe I should actually run.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe I should actually. Our friend Julius Hoke is running for city council in Statesville. Yeah. Maybe I should encourage him just to eat a lot of large beans, amounts of beans when he gets elected. That way he can actually maybe do nothing, which is not a bad thing for city council.
Instead of a filibuster, it'll be a farter buster.
Yeah, there you go.
And they just fart the whole time. But can we talk about the sprays? Mm-hmm. Have you found one that actually works well?
That Poo-Pourri.
The Poo-Pourri is the precursor.
Right.
You put that in before you start.
Well, I've actually used it to cover up.
Have you?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because sometimes you're not sure.
You don't know. Yeah.
But most of them, man, I mean, they don't do a very good job covering it up. It's just, it's whatever the smell of poop plus that flavor.
Plus the flavor, yeah. And would you agree with how they went about saying only bring back vanilla and strawberry? Because once you start mixing those smells and you get a potpourri of the sprays, that is god-awful.
I mean, those are probably pretty good two good choices. Lavender would have probably been okay.
Okay.
I would definitely say not new car smell.
Yep, right. That's a good one.
That's kind of probably end up smelling like burnt rubber.
Right. Allspice. Probably wouldn't want to do that one.
Definitely pumpkin spice. No, that's a no.
Because I have been known to drop one or two that have run me out of my own bathroom, and then I come back with as many sprays as I can and just go to town. Yeah. And then I just realized I just made it worse.
Oh, yeah, because especially when, if you think it's a good idea to offer those many flavors that you're spraying in there, right. You think the company would probably already create a scent like that, like right. Cherry vanilla. That would be
right.
Or Japanese mango, or they probably actually have a flavor that way instead of in single selection. So yeah, sometimes you just unfortunately
the Heinz 57 spray.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't call it what it is on this show. We have to wait till the other one. But so it's a lot of times you just actually make it worse.
Yeah.
Mine's never been about the the aroma. It's always been about the timing. You know, when one accidentally falls out, you know, that's kind of embarrassing.
I will say the poopery saved us in India. I mean, tight quarters, living in a hotel room for a month. That poopery saved it.
Oh, that stuff's it's
amazing.
Such a small container.
Yeah.
One squirt.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah. It covers it up. So you put it, if you don't know about it, you spray it in the toilet before you go, you do your business, and you don't have the smell.
Right.
It's a miracle of modern day technology.
Also Chris Pratt during his acceptance speech of one of the awards he won, I think MTV People's Choice.
On the show.
He actually, one of his rules for life is actually do a courtesy flush as business is happening. And
I could never time it right.
You got to be more cognizant of what's going on around you there. So yeah, it could possibly be.
The 1812 barbecue story started over 20 years ago when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you the fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, the mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget those sides, with the coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812barbecue and he can make your next catered meal happen. Weddings, graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 barbecue. Want to try your hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Want to try your hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world, connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 barbecue, or call 704-604-5148. That's 704-604-5148. And email Eric at eric.line@1812bbq.com, and he will be glad to help. Speaking of things in the bathroom, a teacher tells the class that a demonic energy is coming from the bathroom. Department of Education says former Rock Ridge High School denies telling students about demons and spirits, saying that there was a spirit in the bathroom. Keep in mind, this is the same teacher who said that he has a spirit daughter, and he was another student's spirit husband. Hey, buddy.
That's a little creepy.
That's a weird one. Edward Tardif, 46, was also accused of holding meditation in his criminal justice classroom during the 2017-2018 school year, as well as trying to smoke with a student and contacting students on social media at inappropriate times. Well, this guy's going to get let go. Tardif said that the district did not welcome him back to the classroom following the school year, and he has not been a teacher since. He said that it's been a total misunderstanding. He was making reference that there was something evil in the bathroom because kids were coming out with red eyes. Making apparent remarks that there was drug use going on in the bathroom. He then also said, if I was reading this article, I would say it's very strange, very bizarre, but it's totally taken out of context.
Maybe so, but your previous habits of contacting social media, things like that, that's kind of creepy. In this day and time, man, yeah. I mean, being a dude, being 46 and contacting your underage students, that is a big no-no.
That's a weirdo. That's a weirdo.
I wonder if his presidential candidate he's going to probably vote for the Democratic nod is Marianne Williamson, because she is always saying the demonic and spiritual forces and this and that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe. All right, so let's go into some hot topics brought to you by Watchman Cigars. If you want a fantastic cigar at a reasonable price, again, check out our friends at Watchman Cigars. All right, so we talked about a feel-good story last week. I got another one this week. Survivors of a rare wolf attack in Banff. Is that it? Banff?
Yeah.
Recount how an animal tried to drag a man from the tent in the middle of the night. Long story short, there was a gentleman that was being attacked by a wolf, and the gentleman Russ Fee, he rushed to save them. He said he was running towards the tent. He was hearing screams of help, help. He got in a panic, ran towards the tent, realized, hey, there's a wolf attacking somebody. He saw his leg being pulled like a wolf going for a bone, and he decided he's going to form tackle this wolf going full speed. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got enough speed, and he just form tackled him. He got up, started yelling at the wolf, and he eventually ran away. But man, he just saved this guy's life and his family's life. So I thought that was very awesome. Matthew Rispol was the guy that was being attacked. Could you imagine being attacked by a wolf and then form tackling the wolf?
Guy's got some courage.
Good job for you, sir.
Yeah, because wolf. A wild wolf is a huge animal.
Yeah,
they're bigger than your Rottweiler, your pit bulls. They hunt in packs. You never usually find one of them solo. Mm-hmm. So this guy could open himself up to a lot more damage. Sure. If the pack would attack, this guy would have been shredded cabbage also.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a story of being heroic and just loving your fellow man.
Yeah, they said that the wolf was getting older with age, and they thought that he kind of had like a wolf-like dementia, and so he was kind of off on his own, and that's why he had an unusual behavior. The park did not have any reports of other wolves attacking people, but that one just kind of went rogue.
Maybe it was a full moon. This guy had just changed from his human form to a werewolf, and he had dementia.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you are a werewolf and you have Alzheimer's, then are you gonna have Alzheimer's when you're the werewolf?
Maybe so. This could be,
Oh, snap!
That sounds more plausible than Jeffrey Epstein committing suicide. So I'm just saying.
Well, I do want to talk about that and get an update, but also I want to bring this up. Colin Kapernick posted a video that's saying that he has been denied work for 889 days and he still wants to play in the NFL. A couple of weeks ago, he posted a video showing that him working out at the gym at 5 a.m., 5 days a week for 3 years. It has a countdown of how many days he's not been able to work, that he's been denied work, and he's ready to get back into the NFL.
I don't think you're being denied work, because that is a contractual thing that the employer enters in with you, and evidently nobody wants to enter in a contract with you. I guess if we follow the same logic as Colin Kaepernick's, that maybe I've probably been denied work by the NFL for 13,000 days. So I'm a little bit longer streak than you are, Colin.
I think I got my chance.
Yeah. So, if you were that good, maybe. I know people will argue stats and things like that. The guy had a couple of good years.
Yeah.
We could also argue the same thing for Tebow and other guys who are high-profile players that actually had some decent years and, maybe fallen off or whatever. I think he's a legend in his own mind. Probably a legend in a lot of people's minds, especially the people that tend to flow towards more of the quote-unquote social justice hero status that he has.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was offered a contract with the CFL, Canadian Football League.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure there's probably a few other arena football leagues or other semi-pro leagues that would probably love to have him. But at this point in time, I just don't think that the NFL is really interested in it. Plus, why, as an employer, why would you want to bring that volatile character personality into your locker room? As a person who has business dealings, I wouldn't want that in my locker room.
Yeah. You're going to have to bring in all of, not just him, but all this baggage that he brings with him. So,
right. Well, just in time when you think the hashtag racist cries have died down a little bit, you got to have someone pipe up about it, because I'm sure this is where he's going. This has been his plea and cry the whole time, and I have nothing against Colin. If he wants to have a beer with me, I'd love to have one. Sure. I doubt he will, because I know that he's a recent convert of a new religion as a couple of years ago. So, but more welcome if you want to sit down to a BLT and a beer. I'd be more than happy to treat you. But I mean, I have nothing against the guy. I mean,
I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say doesn't want the B of that BLT.
Probably not. But yeah, we can get some turkey B, which is not as good.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know where the listeners stand on this, but I mean, if you want to protest. I don't care. But like I said, the personality when I guess. In my opinion, when you're putting a team together, you want personalities to click.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have someone who is possibly could be a standout personality that could take the team in a negative way and especially the publicity, the notoriety, et cetera, where the locker room shenanigans or the things that kind of take
off
away,
the field, off the court.
Yeah. They take away from the team's season. I don't think you'd want them there. But I don't think you can make even a great argument that he was such a great quarterback that a team needs him.
Yeah.
I don't think you could. I mean, if there's anybody out there listening that has more sports statistics or whatever, please email us. I just don't think you can. And I'm not one who has black. I mean, he can do whatever he wants to off the field. I could care less.
Right.
If he wants to stand on the flag, burn it, whatever. That's his First Amendment right. Now, as if he was employed by my team and I asked him not to, and he kept doing it, then I'd have probable cause to terminate him. So, I don't. To me, it doesn't matter with that. But yeah, I just don't. I wouldn't want him in my locker room at all.
Yeah, 100%.
He was a third string.
Yeah. Again, I think it's going to cause too much division, too much, at least negative publicity. So why even put yourself through that? And like you said, the teams have a right to do whatever they want. Him being denied work, I think, is an incredible stretch.
That's a misappropriation of that word.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not been denied. That'd be saying you and I have been denied contracts.
Right. Yeah. I've been denied being president of the United States.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to sue.
Like I said, I think that's just a bigger social movement. He's trying to get his keyboard warriors on the Twitters and whatever other social media avenues to kind of get behind
us talking about it, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but the thing about us, we'll talk about it for 3 minutes and then we'll wash our hands of it and move on. I think twice of Colin Kaepernick, but obviously he has his minions. He has Nike in his back pocket because we had that Betsy Ross flag controversy shoe that they pulled from the shelves due to him saying that was a racist origins and not knowing the exact history of Betsy Ross and the things she did, which is kind of ludicrous and crazy. Ironically, Nike makes their shoes in slave factories, 3 cents a day or whatever for these people. But yeah, hey, I guess that's the sweet irony of crony capitalism when it's exported to different countries. But hey, it is what it is.
Yep. Oh well. See you, Colin. I don't have any sad feelings for you, my friend.
Not at all.
If you are in the market for a high-quality cigar for a very reasonable price, you must check out Watchman Cigars. Watchman Cigars is a family-owned business that puts the customer first with the best customer service in the business. Watchman Cigars offers the Habano for a full, spicy flavor, the Connecticut for a mild, easy-to-smoke option, and the Maduro for a strong, powerful experience. They even do specialty blends and partner with you to provide a custom exclusive line just for you. Watchman Cigars has all your cigar needs. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Watchman Cigars 1991 or email Leon directly at Watchman_cigars@yahoo.com. That's Watchman_cigars@yahoo.com or check out the sponsors section of our website. All right, so the last thing we were going to talk about on our Hot Topics is the death of mayonnaise.
This hurts my heart.
Literally.
In so many ways. No, I'm a big proponent of mayonnaise.
Sure.
I eat mayonnaise quite a bit. If you're in the South, everything has mayonnaise in it. Potato salad, deviled eggs, egg salad, tuna salad. There's actually desserts with mayonnaise. You can use mayonnaise in culinary applications to create crust. I mean,
yeah, we talked about the pear salad.
You can actually use mayonnaise and substitute of butter for grilled cheese. It actually gives gives a grilled chease an extra crunch. I tried that
the other day, and that was fantastic. Yeah. So thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this article was produced as op-ed. Well, I actually go back a little bit further. BuzzFeed, which is kind of the dustbin of articles online for millennials, had a list on there called 23 things you'll only understand if you effing hate mayo. So,
oh my goodness.
And then basically just had, this kind of list of things, especially went towards some of the health things and I guess the consistency of it, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, this op-ed journalist writing for the PhillyMag.com wrote this op-ed piece knowing that there's the death of Mayo, and he's blaming millennials for it. Because he noticed when he would go to family functions, back in the days past, there'd be a lot of, especially in his upbringing, second generation American, a lot of his previous cookouts and stuff like that would have condiments, and mayo would be out as a condiment, or you'd have these sides that would have mayonnaise in them. Well, as the years kept going by and some of the older generation started dying off and the newer generation replaced, a lot of people were foregoing anything with mayonnaise. So he knows that the millennials, he's blaming millennials for the death of mayonnaise. Yeah,
he was saying that because of our wide plethora of options, that things like mayonnaise is going out of style when there's now kimchi, wasabi, relishes of every ink and hue, and salsa and all that kind of stuff. Like those things are taking the place of mayonnaise because it's boring and it's bleh, is what I think it said technically.
Yeah, I mean that. But and I don't think the mayonnaise companies, especially Hellmann's, which is really not real mayonnaise.
Right.
Because if you're from the South, it's got to be Duke's. I know you're a Miracle Whip
on
lover.
certain things.
On certain things.
On certain things.
Even if you bring that devil's condiment in your house. But
it's sweet.
Yeah, but Hellmann's, was the kind of the first to market where they would have a low-fat mayonnaise, which why would you ever put that in your mouth?
No.
You'd have the olive oil mayonnaise. Mm-hmm. You'd have just different forms of.
Tried.
Yeah. I mean,
tried.
Or flavored mayonnaise, like wasabi mayonnaise.
Yeah,
I mean,
tried.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
I mean, why even bother? That's the waste of perfectly good egg and oil and whatever. I mean, so I guess I just don't. The mayonnaise company's kind of lost their way. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm hoping that we have a revival because, I have hope because of the keto diet people out there, because mayonnaise is a big part of the keto diet. So
you can bring it back, you ketoers.
We can do it.
Do you think there'll be big tent revivals of mayonnaise?
I think you'll have more and more cult following of people that do things with mayonnaise. But you got to think, man, you can't do, like, all your salad dressings have mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I mean, ranch, blue cheese, honey mustard, Thousand Island.
I do like me some.
All your dressings have a mayonnaise based. Mm-hmm. So I don't care what you call it.
You're going fancy with like the balsamics and the Italians.
Yeah, but you need that good fat that comes in like a mayonnaise to actually break down the proteins in your stomach. So you got to eat that stuff.
Come on.
Plus, imagine a cheeseburger without mayonnaise.
I love mayonnaise on a cheeseburger.
Oh yeah, just it helps. It helps slather it down.
Do you think, I noticed that this is from PhillyMag.com, do you think he was actually a lobbyist for the cream cheese industry?
Ooh.
I'm just throwing that out there.
He could
Here's
be, but I think
theory.
he could have been. Or maybe he has a bunch of cream cheese lobbyists in his family. They're trying to, self-suicide the mayonnaise.
So, this is a dumb question, but what is mayonnaise made out of? How do you make homemade mayo?
Aioli. Yeah, you have to have a blender. You take raw egg, and that's where, I'll give you a little context in history a second. Anyway, you take egg yolks.
Okay. Just the yolks?
No, I'm sorry. Egg whites. You put it in like a food processor. You slowly add oil, a little bit of vinegar. Vinegar actually helps cook it a little bit because it's called cold cooking.
Okay.
Basically oil, vinegar, and egg, and that's it. And you put it in a food processor. You have to slowly stream the oil into the top of the food processor because it's called emulsifying.
Right.
And that's where you kind of get the stiff peaks like you would whipped cream, and it thickens it up naturally because it aerates. So anytime you emulsify it, you're basically aerating, adding air to this, and it just creates this delicious concoction. But see, where I'm from, near Anderson, there's a plant in Greenville, South Carolina, actually Malden technically. That's where Duke's is from.
Oh, okay.
And there was a lady who created Duke's Mayonnaise, and she actually had a sandwich shop, and she would hand make the mayonnaise every day for sandwiches. Now this is back in the early days, and there was a breakout, I think, of listeria through eggs, and a lot of people got sick. So they had to start using pasteurized eggs in the mayonnaise. So that mayonnaise took a negative connotation back then. That's the reason why a lot of people don't make it at home. Is due to that chance of E. coli or listeria or whatever it can form in a chicken egg.
The same reason why they tell me don't eat the brownie batter, just because of the egg.
Yeah, but
how do you get pasteurized eggs then?
Well, you can actually buy pasteurized eggs in containers. Yeah, they're even certain eggs. I think they now can go through a slight steaming process. They're still raw, but they'll actually have it. But pasteurized eggs you can actually get. In the dairy, they call it dairy section. I don't know why their dairy section where eggs are, but in refrigerated section, refrigerated section, you can get eggs, and a lot of times if they're in liquid form, you'll say pasteurized on it. And how they do that is they actually add citric acid, and that citric acid acts as a cold cooking thing that helps cook them. But also they'll use some type of steam or whatever to help pasteurize them too.
And so you can eat those raw.
Yeah,
because you see like these weight builders, bodybuilders, and they're just like chugging raw eggs. I thought at some point you might get salmonella or whatnot.
I actually watched a documentary the other day. I don't know how I got on this rabbit hole of documentaries, but it was talking about the foods that built America, and egg industry was one of them. And there's actually a couple companies. I think there's a company called Eggology out of California. And they sell primarily egg whites that are to bodybuilders, and they come in these containers about the size of probably 2 quarts. And there's a guy that was a bodybuilder, and he drank 1 2-quart container in the morning and 1 2-quart container in the afternoon, or actually cooked one of them. Sorry, so he ate 4 quarts of raw egg whites every day. But supposedly these guys, these egg whites from this company are pure. They go through a stringent process in their egg cultivation and things like that. So I don't know. I can see your nose.
I couldn't eat just chugging raw eggs.
No doubt. That's not me. I remember growing up, early 80s, my mom would add an egg to milkshake.
Okay.
And it fortified it and added a little bit of creaminess to a different texture to it.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that growing up, not too long, because then she probably saw some type of 60 Minutes or something where
unsolved mystery.
Eggs were killing 300,000 kids a year or something. Right. I mean, so she stopped doing that.
Yeah. Wow, interesting. I learned more about mayonnaise than I ever thought I would.
We can actually go into a lot deeper, but yeah,
I'd like to.
Yeah, so a little Epstein update. So on our after hours podcast we had on Monday, which is available once again through Patreon subscribers, we kind of gave our 2 cents of what we thought was happening with Epstein. But today there's been, they're starting to go through all these documents that have been released, and there's some high profile names in there. But also I think the funniest one was the person leaked a photo from Jeffrey Epstein's apartment in Manhattan. It actually had a portrait of Bill Clinton sitting in a couch in the Oval Office, but Bill Clinton was not wearing a suit. He was wearing the infamous the blue dress that Monica wore.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you'll have to. Hold on, I gotta see if I can find this real quick.
So this blue dress that got him in so much trouble, Bill was actually wearing said dress.
Supposedly was wearing this thing in
the Oval Office.
Yeah, but it was, like I said, it was a portrait.
By the way, he's got the Dorothy heels on.
He's got the red pumps on.
How about you?
Yeah,
there's no place like home.
I don't know if this is I don't know if this is actually true or not, because we're still waiting this. But it looks like that this could be.
Could be real.
Yeah, and people, of course, there's people out there saying that that's no way is Bill's face, but in the raw photo, uncleaned up, it actually it looks
like him.
Yeah, it looks. So wow. I don't know. We'll see.
So is there any way that it is a suicide, in your opinion? Do you think
there's always that possibility? But I think the conspiracy part of me. Especially, we're finding out now that the guard on duty wasn't actually a normal guard. He could have been a substitute guard. And I actually heard someone from the jail union or whatever said that even possibly that sometimes replacement guards, since they're so understaffed now in the prison system, jail system, that even the part-time guard could have been a teacher or a maintenance worker from the city looking to pick up a couple extra hours. The story keeps changing minute to minute, man. I don't think so.
And from what I understand now, because when we did the show, I didn't quite understand, but he was on suicide watch, and then he was not on suicide watch even after he attempted. So he wasn't on suicide watch at the time that he did it. I think you have to look at who was the person that took him off of the suicide watch. And could it have been just, hey, I know that you're supposed to be watching me. Epstein could have said, I'll pay you off. Just let me do this, and then you
it's all possibilities.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah,
and it'd be interesting to, as a public, we're all curious now. You know, we're so plugged in and tuned to the media now. We always want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
and as a taxpayer, you know, hoping that they would have convicted him and also grabbed the dirt out of him. You want to know. So you want to know what the inside of the jail was. It looked like, because you know, you want to see if the ceilings were actually 8 or 9 feet tall. That way, and you know, he could have, if there was any possible way he could drape himself to actually do it. I mean, you want to know these things. I mean, especially like I said, we have so much information at our fingertips. So we just naturally curious.
Do you remember the 80s film Goonies?
I do, of course.
And it started off at the beginning where you thought one of the Fratelli brothers hung himself, and then he didn't. He actually had a pipe that was on his back belt, and it kept him from actually hanging. Maybe this whole thing, maybe that's what it was. I'm just saying, he may have
I've heard
gotten that clip from that movie.
If there's so many conspiracy theories out there now, they're, you know, obviously thinking that he's probably in WITSEC. Yeah. You know, just spilling his beans. He's probably in a black ops site for some CIA, clandestine operation. There's all kinds of theories out there that
crazy
it is. And once you start, and I have to unplug myself, because man, once I go down a rabbit hole, you know, you'll be up all hours of the night just chasing it, and I just can't do that.
Top 3 conspiracy theories. If the government came to you and said, I will give you all the information you want to know about 3 things, what are they going to be?
Extraterrestrial life.
Okay.
I think that'd be one.
Yep. Does that include Area 51?
Yeah, I think that's what I use a broad brush on that one. 9/11.
Ooh.
Still, because that is our Pearl Harbor, our generation Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And don't, you know, you don't have to send me no hate mail. I'm not saying 9/11 didn't happen and they used, you know, direct energy weapons or anything. I'm just saying I would like to actually know the full skinny on it, because you know, there's so much information that we haven't gotten from 9/11. So I think that's number 2. Probably number 3 would probably have, it'd either be JFK or the beginnings of World War II, because there's a lot of angles there with World War II and how we actually entered World War II. Yeah. It's not as simple as just, the Pearl Harbor bombing. Yeah. So I'd be kind of curious about that. How about you? I would agree. I think JFK, just because I watched the movie and spent 3 hours trying to figure that out. Aliens, again, because I watched Independence Day. And took 3 hours trying to figure that one out. Sure. And then probably number 3 for me would be, and the government has to know, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie's Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? Actually, you don't have to find that out. There's actually some more already posted on that. Really? Yeah. So you have to fill number 3 now. Okay. 9/11 is a good one. I would... Does aliens also include like cryptos, like Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and those things? You probably could pick a broad paintbrush there to cover those things. Yeah. Third is, why did it take so long to repave the Concord the downtown Concord streets? Hey, I've got my own conspiracies about that. But I think that Epstein is going to be one of those that, because there's so many things that failed.
That's always going to be
perfect failings too.
Perfect of how all that stuff happened. The other one is Fire Festival. How in the world did that happen? Or not?
Or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, gosh, I think that one will be one of those that go down in infamy.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because the internet, the quote unquote, basement investigators that actually, like, for example, they did see Friday, but he killed himself on Saturday, I believe.
Was it?
And so Friday, they did a document dump on Friday. Now, a lot of times, government will do that. They'll do a document dump on a Friday because they're hoping that the media won't catch on to it going into a weekend. That way people aren't as excited about it because typically people follow news Monday through Friday.
Right.
So they did a document dump, and then the next day he killed himself. Now, part of that document dump was where this young lady who has accused Epstein of actually being part of selling her out and also raping her. Now, she released a plethora of photos with her, like with Prince Andrew.
Gotcha.
Photos of her with Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer. She accused, like, Bill Richards, the former Democratic governor of New Mexico, Richardson, a high-profile senator, Democrat senator from Maine, I believe. I mean, she's accused several big-profile names. That document dump was on Friday, and then he killed himself the next day. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that the FBI really does its due diligence. Probably. Just as good as the Kavanaugh hearing, trying to rewind to history and reading calendars from 1981. But hopefully they do a really good job as far as just unsealing everything and looking under every rock. And not just because of my curiosity or your curiosity, but to get to the truth of sex trafficking. We talked about it. We've had Lenny George on from the network here that helps get women out of sex trafficking. I think we need to know that because if it is a global thing with elites swapping young kids around, I want to know about it. I want that camel's back to be broken, and I think we deserve it.
Yeah. It definitely is hopefully one of those things that we'll keep hearing about only to uncover more of the truth.
Well, unfortunately, our American psyche and tolerance for being able to concentrate on anything is not that long. It'll be it may be out of the news cycle within 30 days.
It'll be interesting. It'd be interesting to watch to see because hopefully, like you said, they'll keep digging and investigating and more information will come out. So hopefully that'll happen. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have
Daniel Parks from Cities4Life.
There you go. Here on the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. I really do hope that you love Southern Fried Philosophy. Did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know this sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards like places like Amazon or Starbucks, or if you're a good person, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. Then the more you listen, the more you earn. So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code for you. Simply use our code SouthernFried, one word, and you'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. And if you listen enough to us on there, you can get a cappuccino or a Starbucks or an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead and go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin and sign up with the code SouthernFried. It'll change the way you listen to podcasts. The views and opinions of Southern Fried Philosophy are not necessarily those of our guests, sponsors, or friends of the show, but they should be.
Welcome back to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. As promised, we have Daniel Parks with Cities4Life. He's from Charlotte here, and this is an organization that just recently discovered probably about 8 months ago. Been following them pretty religiously. No pun intended. As we've spoken about on previous episodes, and the pro-life versus pro-choice arguments in this country, I'm very pro-life, and I wanted to have someone that kind of has been the feet and hands of Christ, in my opinion, here in this local area. We'll elaborate what Daniel and his organization does, but Cities4Life, what they basically do is they stand out in front of abortion clinics, but instead of holding signs and basically yelling very nasty things to mothers. They're actually out there with an ultrasound in a van or a RV bus, and they actually go out there and offer free ultrasounds and counseling for women. And man, I struck a chord. And then I guess I kind of hit them up and forgot to respond to them again when I tried to get them on the first time. But then I saw they just created this new baby shower page. I was like, man, why? They're not only helping women understand what's going on with their bodies, but they're actually there for them afterwards.
Yeah.
And that was pretty amazing right there. And that's where a lot of times as followers of Christ, we drop the ball a lot.
Sure.
Say we're very good at the initial action, but the follow-up, we're not so good with that.
Right.
So unless it's a covered dish dinner, we pretty much suck at that.
Sure, or my diet program. I got it. Day one, I'm with you. The rest of it, I'm out.
So welcome to the show, Daniel. We appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you at?
Charlotte.citiesforlife.org is our local website.
Okay, perfect. So I guess the opening question is, why do this? I'm sure you've had other aspirations in life. Why start this?
Well, actually kind of ties into my testimony and how I became a believer. I was a father at 17 years old in high school. My girlfriend was 15 when she got pregnant. And it was one of those situations where, your life has changed in a moment. It was the end of the world for me.
Sure.
The end of the world for my girlfriend, who's now by God's grace my wife.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And little did we know that the end of our world was the best thing for us at that time, because we were living for ourselves and living for the world and sin and all of that. And the Lord used that, quote, unwanted pregnancy to draw us to himself. And so our testimony sort of ties into the issue of abortion because, our daughter, who now is 21 years old, we're married, we have 8 children.
Oh, wow.
And,
do you guys I guess you guys don't believe in TVs either, do you?
Well, TVs are, it's a waste of time.
Sure.
Evidently so.
Yeah.
There's other things to do,
Yeah. It ties into our testimony. We can speak from the perspective of a young man. I can personally from a young man who's in a difficult situation. My wife can speak from the perspective of a young lady in a difficult situation. And, of course, we're believers in Jesus, and we really believe that every life is precious in his sight. We believe that life begins at conception. And, I was actually about 15 years ago taken out to an abortion clinic, sort of the way the Lord set it up. As a church we were going to at the time were actually bringing their children's group out to an abortion center to sing Jesus Loves Me and sing, and try to reach the moms going in as a testimony. And I was there as a chaperone to make sure the kids were, in where they needed to be and all of that. And I was standing there in front of that abortion clinic. And like the Holy Spirit spoke to my heart, 100 feet from where you're standing, babies are dying right here, right now. What are you going to do about it? And, we know about abortion. Everybody knows that abortions take place, right? But until we're there and we see it with our own eyes, we see people go in, you got a mom going in with a baby and, she's coming out, leaving her dead child inside. That has an impact on you.
Sure.
And so that's how the Lord got a hold of my heart. It's kind of like, we know that there are starving children around the world, but until we go on a mission trip in a third world country and actually see it with our own eyes, it really doesn't touch our hearts until we see it. And so I saw the issue of abortion playing out right in front of my eyes at that abortion clinic, and I knew that I needed to be involved somehow. So we started going out individually as a family. My wife is a nurse. And after that, unwanted pregnancy situation I shared about earlier, she actually, kind of beat the odds or whatever these statistics.
She'd become a statistic.
Yeah, she finished high school. She went into college, became a nurse, and ultimately is using her nursing skills to be a nurse on board the mobile ultrasound unit that you mentioned earlier. We park it right in front of the abortion center. And then about in 2010. Cities4Life got started, which was kind of a concerted effort from some individuals who were coming out to the abortion center and reaching out and really wanted to put something together that had some structure to it that churches can get involved with, because there's this idea of, people who go out to an abortion clinic are, like you said earlier, just a bunch of raving lunatics holding up pictures of dead babies and yelling at women. And we wanted to try to tear that down and say that's not what we're doing. Can
we just all agree that probably not the best tactic in the world?
Yeah, I would say, certainly God can use donkeys, right?
Sure.
So God can use all kinds of things.
Like us.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say that God can't use that sort of thing, but as far as the way I see the scriptures, the Bible says in 2 Timothy 2:24, it says, "A servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle, able to teach, and then able to correct." And so we're supposed to bring correction and teaching, but we're supposed to be gentle. And it says, in humility, correcting those who are in opposition. So we have to come with an attitude of humility in anything that we do when we're going to serve the Lord. And so that's what we try to do, as we're encountering the women at the abortion center. So I don't know if I exactly answered your question.
No, I think, well, in your own special way, I think you did. As a business owner, marketing is huge.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to get someone to come over to you versus a competitor, you don't want to go out there and lambaste the competitor with just these graphic, gory pictures. I don't think that really works.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we say, listen, if you want to convince a mom to choose life for her baby, then typically you've got to have a conversation with her, right?
Yeah.
You've got to talk to her. You've got to share with her the resources that are available to her, the reasons why she shouldn't have her baby's life taken through abortion. If you're going to have a conversation with somebody, they have to approach you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If someone's going to approach you, you have to make yourself approachable, right?
Sure.
You have to be
Wow.
approachable,
Exactly.
right? So if you're yelling, if you're using language, it could be biblical language, but you're using language that's just going to push them away, then you shouldn't expect for them to come over and talk to you.
Yeah.
And so, we've learned, I've made a lot of mistakes over the years being out there, and we've learned what honors the Lord and what doesn't honor the Lord, what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, we've had our friend Josh Brom on with Equal Rights Institute.
Yeah, I know
several
Josh,
times. Yeah, and that's kind of their approach. They don't go at it with pitchforks and torches, and they try to blast people and poke their eyes out. I mean, they're trying to do it with compassion and humility, and I think that's where the conversation has to go. No one wants to see a Westboro Baptist church that.
Right.
I don't think any of us would agree that they're really a church or a Christian church out there with signs that says, God hates women who abort, or God hates pro-choice, or I don't think none of us want to see that. At least I don't, and I'm pretty sure any self-respecting person that has a lick of common sense would say the same thing. I mean, so I like I said, guys like Josh, who's out there, guys like you and your organization is out there doing this in a humble way, is people that I really respect. And I want, I'd like to highlight these stories because, we not only do we have a potpourri. We've used, this is probably the second time we've used potpourri on the show, and it's 2 times more than we've 2 times more than we've listed on 110 episodes. But we have a grab bag of listeners from all across the country, all actually internationally, and from different walks of life. And for some people, standing out with offering an ultrasound may be a foreign idea, especially in some of our international countries where abortion is actually state funded. So we're not saying, well, at least for me, from my political point of view, I don't. You don't have to speak to this, but I've never said, oh, let's just ban it, because I think once you black market an item, it becomes ran in the black markets with crime and corruption and stuff. But I do want to offer women, I'm all about women's rights. I want to offer women alternatives and know that there's hope at the end of the rainbow there, that we're trying to sell them, we're trying to sell them a life, and there's actually hope there. So,
if you don't mind, I'll speak to that real quick. If I would like to see abortion banned, because I think it's a violation of human rights. I think it's a violation of the human rights of that baby in the womb. But to imagine that abortion is going to end just because we make it illegal is simply not borne out in history.
Right.
I mean, Charlotte, and we're not far from Charlotte. Concord's pretty much Charlotte, right? Charlotte is like number 4 or 5 in sex trafficking in the United States of America. People still own slaves in the United States of America, even though slavery is illegal. So people are going to still have abortions if abortion is made illegal. What happens, or what needs to happen, is the gospel to take root in the heart. When the gospel takes root in a human heart, it doesn't matter what legislators do. When we see it happen, I've seen moms choose life for their babies who maybe were too early along. They couldn't even see their baby on the ultrasound. One mom I think of was 5 weeks along, and she couldn't even see her baby. We shared the gospel with her, and we do it in a very, I don't know if you know who Ray Comfort is, if you know Living Waters and their ministry and the way they share the gospel, where they basically, if you've watched any of Ray Comfort's videos, I encourage you to if you haven't. It's an awesome way to share the gospel. But he basically lays out, we need to understand our need for a Savior, so he lays out the law, that we're all guilty, as the Bible says, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and you show people, hey, these are the commands of God, and we've broken them. And then you show a mom her need for a Savior, and the Holy Spirit does a work in her heart. We had a mom on board the mobile ultrasound unit, it's been a couple of years ago, who, again, didn't see her baby on the ultrasounds because she was too early along. But she saw her need for a Savior. She surrendered her heart to Jesus. And then the sidewalk counselor asked her, so what do you think now? Are you still thinking about abortion? She said, well, if Jesus is my Lord, I can't even think of abortion anymore. I'm not going to do this. Yeah. And she chose life for her baby. So that just kind of speaks to, the human heart needs to change.
Oh, absolutely.
They say you can't legislate morality. I mean, somebody's morality is being legislated every time we pass legislation. But, but the point is made that you can't, through legislation, make someone do the right thing.
Yeah.
The human heart has to be changed. And I believe the only way to change the human heart is through the power of the gospel.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree, and that's that's the reason why when I go back to the banning, it's kind of hard to do because look at all the things we've banned. Can't drive your car over 70 miles an hour. People do that. Heroin's pretty much illegal for as far as I know. But with all these things have been banned, and it's just so hard. It just creates such huge black market traffic. And we've had Lenny George on with Redeeming Joy and the sex trafficking, and man, just you're right. Enslavement, and we can talk about enslavement in the physical world like that, sex trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein's in the news, to enslavement of a heart due to poverty, or enslavement into other things. And I think the condition of the heart and changing that man is a huge thing. And we ultimately believe it's the gospel also. But sharing that in a form that people can digest and understand is where sometimes we lose the message. I grew up here in the South, and it was all firebrand, hell, fire, and brimstone. Every Sunday, and every twice on Sunday and once on Wednesday. So, but making it to where people can understand is a huge thing. A lot of times it's that human touch where you actually talk to them on the sidewalk, and it goes forth there, because a lot of times we think we have to make the gospel more palatable, but it's actually the Spirit that can actually talk. I mean, we spend how much thousands of dollars every Sunday across the land making these spectacular mockeries of what the gospel is, where
fireworks shows,
rock concerts. The pastor has to have on the latest fashion, haircut. I mean,
nice sneakers.
We spend a lot of money on that, but really, honestly, it's just the Holy Spirit and the conviction of that does the work.
Yeah,
Jesus did it in a robe and some sandals. Come on, y'all.
We try to share the gospel in a 33 to 36 minute caption, and really, it's actually not even needed.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we discover, and I'm sure you can imagine, it's not until we come to the end of ourselves until we can really begin a relationship with God, right? Yeah. That's the gospel. We can't save ourselves. And when a mom is at an abortion clinic, she is literally at the end of herself, right? Yeah. She is at the end of her life, and many of these women know it. Now we've encountered women that have had, 7, 8, 9 abortions. And so and their hearts are hardened, and they're just not going to listen to what you have to say. God can do a work, but it's, it's tough. There's a few and far between. But we encounter women who are there who are, we see them going in, they're weeping, their hearts are broken. And that's not the time to hellfire and brimstone. That's the time to extend. We talk about sin, of course. We talk about our need for a Savior, but you extend the mercy and the grace of God, and you extend the resources that are available. That's one of the main points that we touch on. Sort of 3 points that we touch on as sidewalk counselors. We touch on what God says about abortion, what He says about you, that He loves you and He loves your baby, what He says about your baby. We touch on the humanity of the baby. We describe for them your baby's heart is already beating, your baby has brain waves at 6 weeks. And then we talk about the resources that are available. That's sort of our 3 talking points. That's sort of the 3 things that we talk about when we
Trinity.
talk. Yeah, exactly. and so we share those things, and we share the resources. I mean, Charlotte and the cities around this area, the churches around this area have so many organizations and resources available. There's not a single need that a mom walks into an abortion clinic with that can't be remedied in other places than that abortion clinic. And we've done the hard work of finding those resources, finding those ministries, those organizations that can meet their needs, like housing and clothing, food, We do have, like you mentioned, our baby shower ministry that we started ourselves because we saw a need there. We partner with another ministry, Truth and Mercy Ministries, that does some of the same things. And so there's not a need practically that can't be met within those organizations. And it's pretty awesome to see a heart change by the power of the gospel. And then she sees, we're not just here to offer her, the gospel and then see you later, but we have all these other ministries that we can plug them into. And that's part of our goal, not just, even if they, like that young lady I shared about earlier, who surrendered her life to Jesus. It doesn't end there, right? She needs discipleship. She needs to get plugged into a church. And so we do that. We try to plug them into a church, get a mentor that will walk alongside them through their pregnancy and beyond. Wow. And we've seen some great success and seen God do a lot through those sort of stories.
It's incredible.
Tell me about this mobile unit.
Okay, so basically, you think maybe you said it earlier. They got a bus that they park in front of the abortion clinic. It's actually nicer than my house. Let me just tell you.
Oh, nice!
You go inside and
can I rent it out?
It doesn't look like Cousin Eddie's RV, just to be clear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we've had people come from the abortion clinic and come out of the doors of the abortion clinic and step on board the mobile ultrasound unit, and they're like, "Wow, it's nicer in here than it is in there." Yeah, and that's a multi-million-dollar business that they run in there. One of the things is because the atmosphere is one of life and blessing and peace, But basically, it's just a regular RV that's fitted with an ultrasound room. The room that would normally be the bedroom in the RV is the ultrasound examination room. There's a TV screen there, a nice flat screen TV, so that she can see her baby moving on the ultrasound screen. There's a counseling area that they sit down and talk with her, figure out why she's there. She has struggles and issues, and so we lay out a plan for her and try to figure out what we can do to meet those struggles. And of course, that's an area where we can really get into some of the meat of what's going on in her life and share the gospel with her. And it's not rocket science. It's just let's just offer what we have, which are these free resources and this ultrasound. And this mom comes on board. We see, if a mom comes on board, we have about a 95% success rate. If she goes on board that mobile ultrasound, she sees her baby, she's going to choose life for her baby. Of course, the battle is getting them to come on board the mobile ultrasound unit.
So, what do you think it is that it's seeing the baby?
Yeah,
in their heads, in their minds. That makes that switch.
I think the statistic is about. I think it's about half of women that have abortions already have children. So they've seen ultrasounds before. Many of these women, you can go on your phone now. You can get apps that show fetal development, that show ultrasounds at 3D ultrasounds in every stage of development. I think what it is them actually seeing that baby that they carry right now. It's we say the ultrasound is like a window into the womb. And when you're under fear that many of these women are under, you're not thinking clearly. The scripture says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so we that have God's spirit, we have power, love, and a sound mind. Those who are under spirit of fear actually don't have power, which is the moral ability to do the right thing, love, which is love for God, love for their baby, love for themselves, and a sound mind. They're not sound thinking. I'm not saying they're complete, they don't have any knowledge. They certainly do, but they're under fear, and they're not thinking soundly. And so they may have had other children, and they may have seen ultrasounds of a baby at 9 to 10 weeks. But when you can speak to them, you can show them their baby right then, right now.
Personalize it
and personalize it, and they see their baby, and these moms see their baby on the ultrasound 10 weeks along, kicking and moving around. They'll just start bawling.
Shame has to play a huge part of this. I mean, just think about shame. Shame is a hard driver to a lot of things. Oh yeah, shame is a driver to drug, alcohol abuse, infidelity, gambling. Probably driving these women to wanting abortion. But anyone listening right now, you can be a Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever, but shame is a huge human component that, man, it's such a weight. It's like a heavy jacket that you wear. I just can't imagine being at that moment of despair, with some of these women. Do you notice a lot of men, boyfriends? Is it a lot of that combos coming in?
Yeah, I have the opportunity to speak to a lot of young men that are going into the abortion center and share with them my story. as a young man who has a daughter who was born through an unwanted pregnancy. I say that in quotes.
Air quotes.
Because,
nobody can see that, but
right,
I can. We got you.
You got me. Because there's no child that's unwanted. The Lord has a plan for each child that He creates. But yeah, we see a lot of men, a lot of young men. I see them a lot of times. When I talk to a young man and I share with him my story and I ask him, "Hey, what do you think about what's going on there?" Oftentimes this is him milling around in the parking lot while his girlfriend's in the abortion center. And I'm like, "What do you think about what's going on in there?" I mean, a large portion of these men are like, you know what? If it was up to me, I wouldn't have her do it, but it's her decision. And sometimes I think it's a mechanism for the young man to take and throw the guilt that he's feeling and the shame that he's feeling off on her.
Yeah.
Because after all, he can say, her body, her right, her choice, her problem, her fault. She bears the weight of it. But sometimes I think it's genuine. Like I've literally talked to young men who are just weeping and broken. And wish that they could do something about it. And I've been able to, to encourage, to put some courage in some of these young men and say, listen, man, you do have a voice. You can influence her to do the right thing. And, take this piece of literature. We have literature that we have made up that shares about all the different aspects that about abortion and their baby and the resources. And I'll put that in his hand and be like, man, go in there and talk to her. Just give your baby one more chance. And I've seen young men who are all under fear and just out there just not knowing what to do, walk in those doors and come out with their girlfriend by the hand, not dragging her by the hand, but they're walking out by the hand, and they hug on the front porch and they've chosen life. And what it was is she's inside and she's praying and she's asking God, God, if you don't want me to do this, then send him back in here. I've seen that more times than I can think of.
Wow. Some goosebumps right there.
Yeah, man. It's and it sort of speaks to that whole dynamic of, as men, we need to really step up our game and be what God has called us to be.
Think?
Yeah. Well, seriously.
But that kind of goes against the grain of today's modern society.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're men have been so
neutered,
pounded down to where we're not supposed to do that or speak up. And that just kind of contradicts the current cultural flow right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned unwanted children. How big of an indictment it is to just the church to say, we don't agree with abortion. We'll rally behind that, but we don't want to have anything to do with fostering or adopting. If we're the ones screaming about it, why aren't we the ones helping as much as we should be?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things is the church can always do more. We can always do more. There's so many issues that need to be tackled out there. The fact is, though, if you look at the statistics and the people who are opening up their homes to foster children, people who are adopting children, a large portion are Christians, are godly families. Now, should more homes be open to foster care? Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a mission field right there.
Yep.
These are children who, a lot of these, the statistic is really high of women who have abortions who are themselves have been through the foster care system and kind of caught up in that thing, which is one of the reasons why we are very, very careful at how we mention adoption when we talk about adoption in front of the abortion clinic. People come, I get Facebook messages from people or emails like, do you guys ever mention adoption? And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Good idea. Glad you came along to help us to figure out a new way to reach these women. Like, yeah, we do mention adoption, but what you don't understand is that we're reaching primarily African-American women. About 70% of the women that have abortions in Mecklenburg County are African Americans. And in the African American community, my experience has been that adoption has been stigmatized.
Oh, yeah.
So they equate adoption with foster care, and many of them have been in bad foster care situations. So when you say adoption, they're thinking foster care, it shuts down the conversation, and we don't get to talk to them anymore. So we're strategic about that, and that's the sort of rabbit trail on what you're asking. But I think one of the things that I put a lot of prayer to is this stigma about adoption within the African American community, and just in general, just within our country. There should be no stigma attached to adoption. Adoption, though it has its complications and all that, if scripturally you read it, it's one of the most godly things that a person could do to place their child for adoption, and then for a family to adopt that child. We see in the scriptures that we are adopted as children of God.
Yeah.
Well, my oldest knucklehead that I have at home is adopted.
Okay.
And she's also biracial.
Okay.
So there is a stigma, a huge stigma. And, in that community. Growing up, it was just a stigma to be adopted. I'm grateful to say that is now decreased to a point where no one really cares. And that, as much as I rail on millennials and the generation, that's one good thing they do bring is a little bit more compassion and humility to people's circumstances, knowing that they're just as loved as they are if they're biological. But I'm glad to see that. Just so, like, I had a friend growing up. He was adopted. The kid was made fun of and picked on at school. I mean, but I don't see that now in today's generation. At least not my daughter, because, I mean, she's well loved and people laugh at her. Only thing they laugh at her is when they see two white parents pull up and one of them's heavily tattooed and the other one is prim and proper. So,
yeah, I just think that the church needs to get behind adopting and fostering at a much higher rate. And I agree. Like, my wife and I foster, and we go to counseling and the support groups and whatnot. And most of them are Christian parents. But where are the other Christian parents that know that there's an issue and there's a kid that needs to be loved? And you're exactly right. We're all adopted into the family. And I just think that they could do just a little bit more of getting involved and getting their hands dirty instead of just, we're going to get behind this Facebook post. Yeah. But what are you really doing in your life? Yeah.
Yeah, that's an issue with every eel of society. It's like, man, why didn't the church get, I guess, maybe in the American church, one of the things that aggravates me is that, and if you listen to a lot of the messages and a lot of the things that are put out there in the airwaves, it's almost like this attitude of, Christianity was made for you to make you feel better about yourself. It's made for, God was created for you,
right?
And you're created to sit in that pew and pay your tithes. And the reality is, we're created for God. And we're created to serve Him. So it could be that some of what is being broadcast from the pulpits is not touching on these issues. The issue of abortion, the issue of foster care and adoption, and the issue of sex trafficking, any of the ills of society. It's like, man, these things need to be talked about, not just how God wants to make you feel better about yourself
or make you richer and get you that Lambo.
It sounds like a pastor out in the Houston area.
Yeah, maybe.
That speaks out of a dome.
I don't know who that is, Joel Osteen. Not naming any names. Yeah, I'm just saying.
SS, what was the Babylon Bee?
SS Osteen.
SS Prosperity, I think is the name of the boat.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So, just looking at 2019 here, I mean, how many mothers have you think you've probably have convinced this year?
So we've seen at this point, I think about 320 chosen life so far this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see the Lord doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We saw last year we had 500. I think we had 501 moms choose life last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Do y'all have a central location that you guys hone in on, or do you have different locations that you guys primarily go around? I mean, you don't have to give locations because I'm not big on doxing people or figuring out protest or whatever. I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah, so we focus on the abortion centers in Charlotte. I mean, what we do, we call it sidewalk counseling. So we're on the sidewalks in front of the abortion centers, and we're trying to counsel moms to not go into the abortion center. And there are actually 3 and soon to be 4 abortion centers in Charlotte. A lot of people don't know, but Charlotte is an abortion hub for the Southeast. Charlotte is an abortion destination for all the way from the top of Florida and Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia. We see Kentucky. We see people from all over the Southeast come to Charlotte for abortions.
Why is that?
Well, could be some of that shame that you were talking about earlier, that shame issue that they don't want to be caught in that, in their own city, in their own area. Some of that probably. But more than anything, I think it's marketing.
It could be.
It's marketing from the abortion clinics.
Let's make no mistake. Abortion clinics are a multi-million-dollar industry.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, from the body part selling to whatever whatever they want to call it. I mean, it's just it's what it is. I mean, I think it's been pretty much revealed on Project Veritas and other things out there in the industry. In fact, I have a quote from and I don't want to tie you to anything in my quotes because I have a big mouth and I own every word I say. So this is not Daniel Park speaking, but
there's a disclaimer.
There's a gym of a doctor named Ron Vermani.
Ron Vermani,
Vermani, who who had a quote for Cities4Life volunteers: "Rape them and send them here."
Yeah.
They actually have that on recording.
Yeah.
So that's. I don't think that's part of the doctor's oath there.
You know what's, when I use the word funny, I don't mean ha-ha funny.
Right.
What's strange about this is that same doctor was arrested for rape in 2014.
Lost his license temporarily, didn't he?
Temporarily, yeah. And then somehow the charges were dropped, and he's now doing abortions again.
Wow.
And,
Somehow.
Yeah.
I like, my prayer is for some of these doctors, nurses. I don't even want to call them doctors.
Yeah.
Abortionists and abortionist assistants, and people that work in the industry. I haven't seen the movie Unplanned yet. I plan on seeing Unplanned, because I've heard that's a very powerful movie.
Yeah.
At least from the trailers I've seen. I really pray for those people in that industry, because I want them to have a change of heart. Because, we've talked about this. This is a scourge that is being perpetrated upon American society. We're losing, if you look at just from the straight philosophical, not the spiritual, but we could be losing people that have potential, great worth to science and philosophy and knowledge and politics and sports. I mean, we're losing a whole generation of humanity. And it just breaks my heart that, to see that as someone who's not been able to have my own kids genetically, and I'm glad I couldn't, because I have some I won the genetic lottery with health, but it breaks my heart to see that. And I pray for the women, the men that are involved, it's from the father-mother side to also the doctors and nurses. I really would love to see a change of heart. And you're seeing some of that, where nurses are coming out now and saying, this is what I witnessed. And I think there was actually an article today that came out, and there was a baby in an abortion clinic that actually cried for nearly an hour on a live table until the baby finally passed away without any help. So that just breaks my heart. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. Well, we've seen, we're there. Certainly our primary focus is to reach the moms going in and reach the dads. But we do offer from, the ministry that the Unplanned movie, Abby Johnson and her organization, which is, and then there were none. We offer their information. We call out to the workers. Hey, you can go to abortionworker.com and they can help you find better work. And we've seen, in the past 2 years, we've seen 16 abortion workers quit.
Wow.
From the abortion centers here in Charlotte. And so we, and that's we're not trying to hurt their bottom line per se, but that hurts their bottom line to have to hire new, retrain, rehire. And we've seen some of those workers come to know the Lord, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
I think that might be the hidden story in all of this.
Yeah, it could be.
You know what I'm saying? Because you think of how many times their hands have participated in the taking of life, and all of a sudden them to have to switch. Yeah. I mean, the weight of that, the shame that they also will have to carry, ask forgiveness for, is a huge, huge thing. But I know God has that scandalous grace. We talked about it on our show Monday, scandalous grace where God can heal those wounds. And so... it's just it's a tough subject to go around, because it's one of these things where this is a cross section of our culture and politics right now. It's very, very volatile. It's you could light a match on certain days, on the Facebooks or the Twitters with you start talking pro-choice or pro-life, and people are very polarized. They're in one boat or the other. Yeah. There's really no middle ground, and neither should there be middle ground. But it's just very volatile and sometimes hard to talk about. And people have lost careers over taking a stance one way or other. Or people have lost family members due to their thoughts and ideology on this subject. So. But like I said, I appreciate guys like you out there trying to make a difference, and I do agree with you also. Churches do need to do a better job. I mean, and I'm not saying just the church building or the church leadership. I'm talking about the collective body of Christ, and the church needs to do a better job. We one of our contention points I've always had with churches is that we should never have a homeless person sleeping on the street. We have buildings that are empty 6 days a week. Yeah, there should never be a child in foster care due to that string of families. Yeah. And I'm complicit in not being a part of the foster system. maybe we will be. We've talked about it, but we should be able to fill the gap there. That's where, politically, that's where volunteerism comes in, and volunteer in your household, volunteer in your coin, volunteer in this to meet needs. And I wish we would just see that more as collectively as a society.
Talk about, because I don't think we've done enough justice to not only are you doing the sidewalk counseling, but then what happens afterwards?
Yeah, so we encountered some very difficult situations. I'll just sort of share a story that'll kind of walk you through how these stories can go. We encountered a couple, and this has been summer before last, who came to the abortion center. They had 4 children, and outside of the womb, and the one baby that she was carrying in her womb, and they were homeless, living in their car. They were not married. But they'd been together for 15 years or something, so they were, for all intents and purposes, were committed to each other. And so they came to the abortion center. They came pulling down the road, and by God's grace, one of our sidewalk counselors had stopped them. They stopped for her, and she talked to them for a good while and found out what their situation was. And for this young lady, the furthest thing from her mind was going and having an abortion. But she really felt like this baby and this situation is the straw that broke the camel's back for them. They're homeless. They're living in their car. They have 4 kids. They got a baby on the way. It's like, what are we going to do? And so we were able to get them to come on board the mobile ultrasound unit, talk through the issues and the struggles that they had, and she just really broke. And I don't want to have the abortion, but what can you guys do to help me, please?
Yeah.
By the end of the day, we had them put up in a temporary motel. So, that's the best you can do off the cuff right there for a family. So we raised the money real quick. We put it out, and people were willing to support. So we put them up in a hotel for, I believe, for a week, an extended stay hotel. And then we're able to connect them with another ministry that had a housing ministry that they run, and got them plugged in there. By the end of that week, when we met them on Wednesday, she kept in contact with our sidewalk counselor. On Wednesday, she realized her need for a Savior and surrendered her life to Jesus. She's like, this is a hard thing I'm dealing with here, a hard situation. I can't do it on my own strength. And she gave her life to Jesus. On Thursday, he gave his life to Jesus. By Friday, they were in front of the courthouse getting married.
Awesome.
we found a pastor that would come and marry them, and he married them. Then, that following week, we were able to get them plugged into housing. We had their car that they were living in actually broke down. We were able to kind of rally the church, and were able to get them money, and we bought them another car that they were able to because they were crammed in a little sedan anyway. They needed something bigger, so we were able to get them in another vehicle. And that situation, he just texted me the other day, the husband did, and we stay in contact with each other. They're doing well. They have their struggles like any marriage does, like any family does. But we've seen God do a lot of things, and last I heard and talking to him, he's saving money, and they're looking to buy their own house now.
Oh, wow!
So that's a sort of full circle.
Yeah, and see that.
Don't mind me, guys. It's just the allergies. I don't know.
But you know what, man? That's I don't hold this against me, but this is a lot of times in our podcast, I talk about how inept the government is and our tax dollars. They're very good at collecting it, but very poorly at spending it. All this was volunteer money.
Oh yeah.
That's the power of when God speaks to people in there's certain, like me, I may have not felt compelled to give money, but you had a lot of people who did.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love how God sparked something in their heart to volunteer their own money. Their own time, maybe their own skill, and that's powerful. And I'm so happy to hear that the guy's doing great, or doing better, I guess I should say. And who's to know what their story is as a family in 5 years from now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's going to be the most powerful. Maybe they're out there doing sidewalk counseling with you.
Hey, you never know.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Do you think a majority of abortions are happening just because of a lack of resources?
I think because in my experience, there are women and I'll actually say this, and I don't say it in some kind of like smug way, but women that are going into an abortion clinic, if I have a chance to talk to them, I will share with them, listen, there are people in similar situations to yours that are choosing not to go in there. So that's not the remedy to your problem. So I think it's that in the sense that it's in their mind and their hearts. They feel like they have to have an abortion because of these situations. The reality is a lot of it's wrapped up in that fear that I spoke of earlier. They're just under this
They can't
fear.
do it.
And it's just they've believed the lies of the enemy. They've believed the lies of society. Some of these young men have believed the lies of society that tells them, you know what, you can't be a dad. You're too young. The community you were raised in, you didn't have a dad. All this other garbage that they've been fed. And, I speak directly against that, and I say, listen, if people are telling you can't be a good dad, I'm telling you they're liars and they don't know God. Because if you put your trust in Him, listen, I was a dad at 17. I'm a horrible dad now, except for the grace of God, right?
Sure.
I need the grace of God. You need the grace of God. That mom going in, she needs the grace of God. And so, we have to combat these sort of lies that they believe, the lies that society puts out, with the truth, with what God's Word says, that all those that put their trust in Him will not be put to shame. As it says in Romans chapter 10, all those that put their trust in the Lord will not be put to shame. So there could be many reasons,
okay.
but it boils down to just a bunch of lies that they're believing. Yeah.
Wow.
Just to speak to the, I know disproportionately here in Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus County, probably some of the other greater counties that make up the greater Charlotte area. You talk about the ethnicity breakdown. I wonder, is it most of it proportionally black, disproportionately black in Latino, or do you find less Latino community due to certain circumstances? What do you find kind of?
Yeah, so the statistics and just practically the way it's borne out that we see, it's about 70% of the people going into abortion centers in Mecklenburg County are African Americans.
Wow.
And then the rest, sort of I don't know exactly the statistic on Hispanics. We do see Hispanic folks on a regular basis. Of course, many white people there for abortions. The whole idea, if you've done any research about Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry, is it does have a targeted effort against the African American population.
They plant them right there in the communities. Yeah.
And the main abortion center that we reach out at that does 30 to 40 abortions sometimes every day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
On average, I think they do between 20 and 30 6 days a week. But there's some days that the whole parking lot's full, 40 or 50 people there for an abortion, and it's located right behind a minority neighborhood, Greer Heights. And right on the other side of that same neighborhood is another abortion center. So just like 3 minutes down the road is another one. So both of these abortion centers are located right there near that minority neighborhood. You're not going to find an abortion clinic in the country club.
Right.
It's a targeted effort, man. And they're playing on people's fear. They're playing on economic situations, all of that, because these are businesses that make a profit off of abortion.
Well, I'll speak to this. This is not Daniel speaking. This is me, and I own this words once again because I don't want to put any words in his mouth. But where's our social justice warriors at for there? I mean, how about my white liberal friends who are listening right now that go to speak about racial injustices? I mean, how would you like to see an abortion mill right in the back of your neighborhood? I mean,
it wouldn't stand for it.
It wouldn't stand for it. Right next to the HOA community pool.
I'm going to go to Harris Teeter and pick up some dozen donuts. And by the way,
right beside the Starbucks.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it just, if you can't see injustice there, and I then put down your put down your Black Lives Matter hashtags and put down your social inequity hashtags. I mean, this is a real lie. This is where your words should meet the street. Your rubber meets the road, and we don't see that. I mean, anyway, I had to say that.
Yeah.
So.
I can't get enough of the stories. Do you have any more stories that just have blown you away and just you've really seen God move?
Yeah. One story that always sticks out in my mind, and it's not, like all these ins and outs of the stories, it's just the way it played out really broke my heart initially. So, we're there in front of the abortion center. We see this car come down the road, which we do every day. See, many of these cars. With this car, it was a little different. It stopped in the middle of the road and cut a U-turn right in the middle of the road. And right in the middle of that U-turn, a young lady gets out of the passenger side and is walking toward the abortion center. So we walk over to her and say, "Hey, we're here to offer you help. Are you coming to the abortion clinic?" And she's like, "Yeah." And right away, she said, "I got to have an abortion." That was my aunt. My aunt told me that if I don't come and have the abortion, that I can't come back home. I live with her. She says, either have your abortion. She said, go have your abortion. Find yourself a ride home. If you don't have the abortion, then don't come home. And, she's broken, right? She's staying with her aunt. She has nothing else. She has no one else. And thankfully, by God's grace, we were able to take her on board the mobile ultrasound unit. She saw her baby. She didn't want to have an abortion. I mean, it was the furthest thing from her mind. But we were able to get her plugged into some resources, show her, hey, this is a place that you can stay. If your aunt's not going to let you come back home, listen, she can't force you to have an abortion. If she's forcing you by saying she'll kick you out, then we'll find you a place to stay. And we showed her places to stay. She chose life for her baby that day.
Yeah.
And that was a powerful story. And, that baby was saved. Even in spite of that, it was coercion. She was being coerced into having an abortion. I mean, think about that. Go have your abortion and find yourself a ride home. So she was going to have to go and have the abortion and then either find a taxi. This is before, this is probably, 5 years ago, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, before a lot of people were doing Ubers, right? So she would have got a taxi, she would have got on a bus, she would have walked home, whatever, after having had that abortion. And, I've seen women come out of that abortion clinic after having had an abortion. One young lady came out and she was shivering from the surgical shock of just having had an abortion. And she comes out, she's devastated. She knew what she did. She knew that she did wrong. She came out right to us and she said, you know what? Somebody's got to do something about what goes on inside of there. They're destroying people inside of that place. And she was headed out of the abortion center to get on the bus and go ride home. And thankfully, we were able to give her a ride home with another person. But think about the loneliness of that.
Yeah.
You come to an abortion clinic alone. You leave after having the abortion alone. It's like, man,
and you have to live with it.
And then you have to live with it alone. The abortion clinic's not calling you up later on, finding out how you're doing emotionally. They got your money and they're good to go, So, but God, thankfully, God's people are out there on that sidewalk, and we're able to reach those women.
Are there stories of women that have had the abortion and then just get on the bus?
That was my question. Oh, no, it wasn't my question.
They get on your bus or mobile, what is it?
Mobile ultrasound unit, so we got,
and just need somebody to talk to, and you're there to talk with them there.
Yeah, we've had many of those conversations where we've been able to, very graciously show them what Jesus has done for us, even in spite of our sin. Our sin separates us from God. Jesus Christ comes and bridges that divide, and we point them to the Lord. We have women within our ministry. One of the ladies that works very closely with me, Vicky, who, if you've watched our page, you've seen our page. She's our volunteer coordinator. She's post-abortive. She has abortion in her past. We have several women within our organization that have abortion in their past, and they can speak to that.
Yeah.
So that's we're a gospel-centered ministry, and women who've had abortions, listen, they need Jesus just as much going in as they do coming out, and vice versa. So we've been able to have those conversations and seen the Lord do amazing things and bring healing and restoration in those situations.
That's awesome.
Thank you for not shunning the women who've actually, have done that and then seeking counseling. I think that's a big part too where we miss off, is especially in today now, where if you don't do what I ask or don't believe the way I did, that we have a tendency to shun them and close the door. And especially, I've seen it happen at churches where somebody may go on their wayward way, fall back into an addiction, reach out, and the door's kind of shut. So that's where ministries like yourself and what you guys do is big in that, recapturing those people. One of the things that we've been trying to do for a good while, and it's a difficult ministry. We're there in the morning times when people come into the abortion center, anywhere from 9 to 11 on the weekdays, anywhere from 7 to 11 or 12 on Saturday. And typically by that time, all the patients are in. Well, then from about 1 to 3, you'll see the patients come out after having had the abortion. And we really feel like that we could reach them on the way out. It's like after they've had an abortion, what happens, right? Either the devil gets a hold of them and look what you've done. There's no forgiveness. There's no salvation for you. The liar that told them to go in and comforted them on the way in is their accuser on the way out, And so we feel like, okay, either the devil's going to get a hold of them or the Lord's going to get a hold of them. So we want to be there to plant gospel seeds on their way out, and get literature in their hands that talks about healing and restoration. And so our goal is to try to raise up teams for that. We do have teams on Friday afternoons and Monday afternoons, and our goal is to try to get them out there. We need to have people out there, kind of speaking to what you're saying. Where's the church at? The church needs to rise up. We're seeing the church rise up.
there's just some more work that needs to be done.
Sure.
And so we're just trusting the Lord's going to raise up people to have every hour those abortion clinics are open, whether it's patients going in or patients coming out. We want to have a gospel presence out there, a loving gospel presence in front of that abortion center.
I'm going to throw this out there just to lighten the mood a little bit. Have you thought about like free ice cream sandwiches? You can give those out on a hot day.
Yeah.
I'd go in for that. I'm just saying.
Well, we've had folks come out with roses and offer roses to those going in and that sort of thing. But I've not thought about the ice cream sandwich
I'm telling you,
thing.
you might want to try the ice cream
Surprised you
sandwich.
to say biscuits and gravy.
Or biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and
Brought to you by
gravy.
Bojangles.
That's always the it's always the comfort blaster right there.
Yeah.
Well, man, you got anything else?
No, I think it just is so remarkable. My heart goes out to you guys, to the ministry, to those women, to those babies. It's just you're doing God's work. And I know you hear that and people say that, but man, you are the hands and feet of Jesus, and you can tell that by the stories, by your life, by your works, and so kudos to you.
Yeah, all by God's grace.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Parks from Cities4Life, thanks for joining us once again. Where can we find you again for our social medias or website?
So it's charlotte.citiesforlife.org is our website, and then just Charlotte Cities for Life. You can find us on Facebook, and we have an Instagram, and I don't do anything on Twitter because I just can't deal with all that.
Cesspool humanity. Well, now, but you do have another baby shower page on the Charlotte.
Yeah,
Life.
so we do have our Cities for Life baby shower page. I believe it's called baby shower page, maybe shower donation page or something. That's where folks connect with us to give baby donations. We're doing a diaper drive right now where we're asking people to go on Amazon and just buy some diapers, send it over to us, or come by our office and drop off some diapers. That's a big need. We can never have enough diapers to give to these moms. So
no doubt.
And coming up, we're going to do a diaper drive where we're going to have, on Saturday mornings for people to come by and just drop off diapers. So we'll put that on social media whenever we kind of pin that down.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for once again. Appreciate you guys tuning into the Southern Fried Philosophy podcast. You can find us on the southernfriedphilosophy.com. That's our website. Playable links there. You can kind of interact, connect with us, check out our bios, something like that. Yeah, also, you go to our Facebook page of Southern Fried Philosophy. You'll see our current episode, some stupid memes, things I get banned for, probably. And also check us out on the Twitters and Instagram, which we don't really use Twitter, except maybe to throw an episode ever out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's SFP Radio. Also, the Instagram is SFP Radio. Go to Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeart, Spotify. The new one that we're using called Podcoin. Anywhere you use your podcast or anywhere that you download your podcast, go to our podcast, look up Southern Fried Philosophy, hit that subscribe, the heart, like, follow, whatever it is they use. Just do that. Give us a review. We appreciate a 5-star if you think we're doing an all right job. 4 is acceptable. Or if you really hate me, just put a 1. But anyway, write a review. That helps us move up in the algorithm. And that's how we love to connect.
And don't forget, you can be part of the SFP Insiders and SFP family by joining our Patreon page or Patreon subscriber. You can find that on the Southern Fried Philosophy website. And as always, keep looking up.